Hey y'all, apologies. Just working or whatever. But hey, happy Tuesday. This is my review for Married to Medicine season 11, episode 11. Bravo gave us a hell of a good Sunday night, didn't they? If you didn't watch my Potomac review, make sure you check it out because they delivered. Like the whole Sunday night, I'm just like, are we back, when Atlanta was on and, early Married to Medicine? Because they really gave us some good television. I will admit it. This particular episode was unnecessarily messy. A lot of drama happened that didn't need to happen, even though I guess it was entertaining in a train wreck way. And quad lovers, quad squad is just a disclaimer for you. You may not want to hear what I have to say, but I just got to be honest because I'm just not one of these biased reviewers that love quad. And, just because she brings the drama, she can't do anything wrong. So, yeah, that's my warning. And, like anytime they bring the theme song, I got to play it. So, here we go. Yes. So let's get into this review. Get very comfortable because it was a lot. I have a lot of notes to refer to. So, yeah, I hope you got your drink or, some of this. Let's get into it. So, it's the morning after the pool party drama. We see a bunch of the couples in their rooms, mostly discussing what happened. And I think it's comical seeing Quad say, well, what happened with Gregory? He just went ape shit crazy. Girl, like you were drunk, peacocking your relationship and engaging with Sweet Tea and Greg. You don't remember that? Like, how can she say like they paraded their relationship around last season when like she willingly went to her bachelorette party uninvited and also tried to be extra fake chummy with Dr. G, asking, "Oh, can I get a hug? Can I get a hug? You don't mind? You don't mind? What happened to that?" Now there's all this like contention there. Like, what happened? So then, I would like to say, whether y'all like it or not, like Sweet Tea is married to medicine, and many of Quad's friends vouch for her to be on the show. And then she said, "These are my group of friends." I'm like, didn't they just kick you off a trip for not being a good friend? I remember the Sister Circle conversation, like when you thought you were on your way and the show was like picking up before it got canceled. Were those your group of friends that you was claiming, like you claiming now? It's just so annoying to me. Like she act like we just started this season at 11 or 10. I've watched Married to Medicine since season 1. Anyway, let's see. So we move on to Sweet Tea in Greg's room. He says he knows how Quad gets when she's drunk. He acknowledges that he lost his cool. He apologizes to Sweet Tea and says, he isn't sorry how he felt about the situation. Back in Quad's room, she says Greg is jealous and not over her. Like, they're not over each other. Like, it goes both ways. Like, that's the problem. They have unresolved issues from a marriage that ended horribly. Horribly. They have never had a time to sit down with, like, I guess, a third party to really discuss these issues so they can move on. Maybe, like, before Dr. G came back on the show, maybe they could have done that. But, yeah. We're going to get the type of drama that we got in this episode until, that situation happens. So the next scene, we're with Toya, Mimi, and their husbands. They're having lunch together. We're getting to know more about Mimi and her husband, Steve. Later, they're talking about how Toya basically started that argument between Greg and Quad, about being messy and pointing out like the obvious elephant in the room. And yes, it was very uncomfortable in the last episode, but she didn't have to say that because it definitely struck the match that Quad threw the gasoline everywhere. Um, I also think whoever sat Dr. G and Sweet Tea like so close to Quad and King, like that's another thing. Like, why did they sit them so close together? Anyway, next scene, we're in Heavenly's room as she's talking to Jackie and Simone about the previous evening. And Simone, I believe, well, Heavenly was not messy. I will give that to her in the last episode. Like she was just reading the questions, even though she wasn't involved in it. And look, it was mostly the seat placement that started it and Toya, like I said earlier. Simone says, you know, clearly Greg and Quad, they need healing. And Heavenly says, well, I thought that shit was funny. I thought it was funny. Like, I just think that's some sociopathic shit to say. Like, it wasn't funny to me in the slightest. Was it funny to y'all? I mean, maybe it was funny to some people because we just watching at home for entertainment, but I didn't think it was funny. I was very uncomfortable watching that scene. And it's just like laughing at their dysfunction, like how their partners were dragged into it, and then knowing that their marriage ended so horribly. It's kind of fucked up. Kind of fucked up. Like, then Heavenly playfully says, can I tell you a secret? Apollo coming. And just from Jackie and Simone's reaction, they know it's messy. And Heavenly is just doing that to create explosive situations. Like, Heavenly is the type of person who definitely burnt ants with a magnifying glass as a kid and probably tortured small animals. Like, I don't know. Like, I am dying for one day. Like, just one season is going to come and it's going to be her turn to get a taste of her own medicine. No pun intended. Like, her karma is coming, y'all, at some point. Let me see what y'all saying. Yes, you walked into a dance break. Look, if you're not familiar with my Married to Medicine reviews, anytime they do the theme song before the episode starts, I'm playing it. I'm playing it. Mariah Huck is somewhere watching this episode saying this ghetto shit gotta go. Exactly. Like, I just don't think, I was telling my friend earlier, I just feel like we lost the plot a little bit. Like, I get it. It's dramatic, but there was no reason for Apollo and his estranged wife to be invited on this trip. There were 20 people on that trip, 10 couples. For what? For what? And I just feel like, is this where the show is headed now? Like, where we're creating these explosive situations for no reason? Like, I want to know more about, well, I get it. Some of the cast members may be boring, but like, it just seems like Toya and Simone and Jackie, they're just spectating on the explosive drama. They're just like, they're not even involved in it. You know, it's just become so much about like Battle of the Exes that I just feel like we've lost the plot. Anywho, Quad should have waited until Sister Circle got in syndication before turning on everybody. I agree. You hit the nail on the head, Chris, with Quad and Greg, which is why the ex-husband and new wife story is too much for this show. And Heavenly is doing this all again with Phaedra and Apollo. Like, yes, just stop it. We almost have 100 in the room. Give a ninja a like, please, and subscribe if you haven't. And also, MJ, I see you in the chat. I'm gonna make you a mod a little later. Just comment under the under the descriptions because I can't look at it right now. I'm on StreamYard. I can't give you that access right now. Quad acts like her life is really not okay. I'm sure she's jealous, has insecurities, and possibly money problems. Allegedly. But to Heavenly's credit, she did tell Fei Fei he was coming. I get that. I get that she told her that, but there was still like no reason for her to invite Apollo. They're not friends. The producers had the main hand in bringing Apollo and his wife to get Phaedra to clock in and actually earn her check. They just used Heavenly to do the dirty work. I'm sure she didn't mind that either. Quad was going to act a fool about something anyways. They should have let her and the liquor act up organically. They lost the plot trying to self-produce. I wish they weren't cheap and on nicer trips, even without generational wealth. Apollo is not married to medicine, my love. Look, I told y'all. So let's see, where am I? So then we cut to Simone saying she knows it's fucked up what Heavenly did, but she just laughs it off because she's not affected by this at all. Anywho, they're nervous if Apollo sees Phaedra with the guy that she brought, Chet, which goes to show they shouldn't have invited Apollo in the first place. If y'all so worried about drama popping off, why did y'all even invite Apollo? Especially if y'all thinking that, well, it's a couple's trip. So why did you invite this man, not knowing that he was going to bring Charisse? Is that her name? Shireen, on his own. Like, why would you add Apollo on the trip just as a single person? You wanted him and Phaedra to be together? So then later on, today's activity is a boat day and traveling to a private beach. What do they call it? Like a sandbar? Never done it. If you're familiar with that, let me know in the chat. Explain it to me. We have about 10 damn couples expected. And again, I'm just like, why are there so many damn people on this trip? Why? The boat is a bit small, but it is just for transportation, I guess. We see Dr. Heavenly sneak away to call Phaedra's ex, Apollo, to see if he's on his way. So later, Apollo shows up, and he is not alone. He is with his estranged wife. I'm pretty sure you saw the headline already, with Shireen, who looks like an auntie version of Natalie Nunn. Yes. She looked a little, I don't know, she looks different. Like, she looked a little swole up here. I don't think she really was. It's giving female version of Benzino a little bit. Like, it's giving no neck. So then everyone on the damn boat knows that this is messy as fuck. I should stop saying the F word so much before they demonetize this. But they just riding with it. Now y'all know we enjoy the mess, but I just think, again, we've lost the plot. So Heavenly is surprised that Apollo brought his wife at the time because he said at first, she wasn't coming. Now, it makes it even more awkward because allegedly Shireen was the one Apollo was cheating with while he was with Phaedra. So there's already contention there. And then we see from production, she came on Housewives of Atlanta to try to embarrass Phaedra back in 2016. So yeah, this is the type of energy that I'm thinking that Quad has for Sweet Tea. You would think Sweet Tea is the mistress. So any shade that Phaedra gives, or if she pays Shireen dust, I see why, at least with Greg, Sweet Tea is just his new wife and not the mistress that he married. Look, I want to say some of Chris's business, but I'll save that for the Patreon about, people marrying mistresses. Anyway, I don't know. Phaedra also tells us that Shireen was the side chick when she was pregnant with their youngest son. And I'm just like, did Heavenly know this? And if she did, she didn't give a damn. She's just trying to create drama for the show, to create ratings. Look, if it don't affect I'm assuming Jackie or Simone, nobody's gonna care. And I'm just like, is this what we're doing now? Are we just gonna invite any more cast members' exes? I think next season, maybe we should invite Cecil's female friend who Simone didn't really care for. And maybe she should get a taste of what it feels like. Or how about we invite Curtis's mistress, while we're at it, just see how Jackie feels. Since we want to just invite these new guest stars that have nothing to do with the show. So things are even weirder when everyone sees Apollo and Shireen. They know Phaedra's date already. And it looks like Phaedra knew that Chet knew Apollo, but I don't think she knew how close Chet was with Shireen because they hugging like they old friends. Like, it is such a mess. And then after the toast, as they head to the island, Apollo tells Quad that he's actually good friends with Chet. And this is some bullshit because it was presented as if he doesn't know him that well. But according to Phaedra, she didn't know that they were close friends. Like, they were just acquaintances. Who knows? Who knows? Like, I don't really like how they're trying to make it, like, trying to turn it on Phaedra as if she's the one in the wrong, when Apollo and his mistress turned wife shouldn't have been invited in the first place. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Phaedra is a cast member, whether we like it or not. Like, why is Apollo on this show? It doesn't matter how he feels. But Heavenly knew what she was doing. Like, I guess, when production asks, do you still think it was a good idea to Phaedra, if you still think it was a good idea to invite Chet, she says she's not answering this, which makes me raise an eyebrow. Well, Apollo brought Shireen to aggravate Fei-Fei. But apparently, I guess he allegedly didn't know that Chet was coming, right? So what would it be if Phaedra was by herself and Apollo brought his ex? I mean, his wife at the time. I think that's what Heavenly wanted. She wanted Phaedra to be in the hot seat. And instead, Phaedra was just playing like, fire with fire. So they finally arrive at the sandbar. Everyone is cordial for now. We're with all the guys together, and the first awkward moment is when Apollo is asked by Steve, like, how is he affiliated with the group? And Apollo purposely omits that he's, Phaedra's ex-husband. And like, I'm sure everyone on that beach is familiar with who Phaedra Parks is. Like, that's what I was telling my friend. Like, Steve he never watched Real Housewives of Atlanta. His wife didn't. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows the connection between Phaedra and Apollo. So I'm not even sure why Apollo is omitting that in the moment. My ma does not see it for Sweet Tea, y'all. She hates her for whatever reason. I don't know. But I will say, if y'all saw Watch What Happens Live, she did not do well. Like, she doesn't do well in the moment on TV. Like, the shade doesn't come natural to her at all. And I don't know, she was stumbling over her words. I just think she wasn't TV ready. And Andy was really frustrated with her. Go back and watch What Happens Live. Like, Andy's just like, he's just like, okay, all right. And I think one part she said that Quad put a bullet in his eye. When I think she meant battery in his back. But yeah, she didn't do really well on TV. Oh, let's see. I disagree. Phaedra knew Apollo was coming, so she brought her African. But her plan backfired when Shireen showed up. But in either way, it seems like Apollo, let's just imagine like if Apollo brought Shireen. So it was a good thing that she brought a date, because either way, it would have been a terrible situation. So my thing is, why was Apollo invited in the first place on the couple's trip when there was already Battle of the Exes? So now we're just throwing more dynamite on top of dynamite. So yeah. Well, she's new to TV, but this is her second season, love. Like, you should be used to being on Watch What Happens Live now. You've already did this before, girl. I don't care who invited them. I don't. I don't care if it was heavenly. I don't care if it was production. Like, just as a person watching the show, it just, like, what is it? It just makes the show seem like it jumped the shark. Because why are we doing this? You know, like they already did the whole we have exes on the same show together. Now we're doing it again. It's tired. I don't want to see that. Let's see. So then we're still with the husbands, and their men. It's just a lot of hyper masculine banter. And Eugene then welcomes King to the group. And then Greg, for the first time, is addressing him, saying he has no issues with him or Quad. He says when she spoke on their marriage, it bothered him. And he says he didn't handle it in the best way. Now, what I think Greg could have done was left it there, but then he goes on to say that, what he thought, all he said was she talks too effing much. And look, I agree with him because she was running her mouth and he didn't disrespect her. He didn't call her out her name. So I'm just like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have engaged with Quad, but he tried that and Quad kept engaging with him and Sweet Tea. So then he was just like, we don't care what you think. And that's when Quad started being on 100 rather than on 10 like she usually is. So King then says, oh, I didn't hear that last night. And I'm like, how you didn't hear that? You didn't hear that? For real? So King says he's offended by that. And now he thinks Greg needs to apologize to Quad for that. Greg says he thinks both parties were at fault, which is true. And then the tension is really high right now, and it's just awkward. Eugene tries to interject, but fails to calm it down. And now Greg gets up to tell King to his face that if he knew him, he would have just addressed it with him. But he didn't. I feel like they've never really formally met either. Have they? I'm not sure. But I feel like when he got in King's face, at this point, that was the perfect opportunity for King to get any issue out the way. So I'm confused as to why he had to pull Greg to the side later when all the calamity was happening. I don't get that. Did you feel sunned in that moment in front of all the men? So you just wanted to get him to the side by himself? I don't get that. Who put the battery in his back at that moment? So they end with them both saying that there's no problems between each other. And look, I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. My opinion. Yes, Greg talks too much. He's a weasel. Be good. Be good. But I feel like the only person he needed to apologize to was Sweet Tea. That's the only person that deserved an apology. Now, he would be the bigger person to go over and apologize to Quad, but I think in that matter, Quad should apologize to him as well and Sweet Tea. But yeah, so next we're with the ladies and they see Chet and Phaedra, having fun and being flirty with each other. They ask Shireen, does she know Phaedra's man? Shireen just looking like a hater from the sideline. She's just like, y'all need to stop calling him her man because he's for the streets of Atlanta. But I'm just like, who said that they were exclusively dating? She just wanted a +1 for this whack-ass trip, And then Shireen then says they can do what they do. She doesn't care if they're with each other, but it's a little messy. Then I'm just like, what? You saying somebody messy? You and your estranged husband agreeing to come on this trip and you willingly filming a scene with the other housewives of Atlanta, knowing that you're with Apollo as I think he wasn't divorced yet at the time. Right. And you're the one who, I think she came on as the mistress. I totally forgot she was on Atlanta. But I'm just saying, it's the pot calling kettle black. You can't be calling Phaedra messy when you're just being there is messy as F. But then Shireen says that Chet be coming over for Thanksgiving, and I'm just like, wow. So somebody is lying. Either he didn't tell Phaedra how close he really was with Apollo, or she knew already and didn't care. I can only go by what I see on camera, and we saw them on the date, and he said that he knew Apollo, but he didn't really delve into like how personal he knew him. So yeah, I would think that says more about Chet than Phaedra if you're willing to date your homie's ex-wife. That says more about Chet. And then Apollo, at the end of the day, he cheated on both of his wives, and the latter is accusing him of domestic violence. So I'm just like, who cares what Apollo wants? Oh, do you think Chet is cute? Absolutely. Like, and he tall too and a little muscular? Look, I love a little, well, you know what? That's Chris's business. I'm going to zip it. So then we see the ladies grilling Chet about how he knows Shireen. He doesn't tell them. Toya continues asking, oh, do you know her family? You were over for Thanksgiving. Quad jumps in, did you tell Apollo? Because he says you didn't. Phaedra is definitely feeling some type of way, like how all the women are trying to do this. Now, I was talking to a friend, and he told me that I guess production, like this is something that was coming from the reunion. When she brought Apollo to the reunion, they tried to make it seem like they were perfect, like as exes, like they were, like their relationship is great. So then I guess production and Heavenly and the other ladies were trying to test that, and by inviting them on the same trip. And it seems like they actually don't have a great relationship. So I was like, yeah, my friend brought up a good point. I just wanted to bring that up. Anywho, Phaedra just seems bothered by all of this questioning. So Apollo joins and says Chet called him that, you know, he matched with his ex in the speed dating, but didn't tell him anything else. And again, I feel like Chet didn't owe him that unless, you know, they have a friendship that's real tight. Because I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's an acquaintance. So then, well, let me cut to what y'all talking about. A scheme set up by Phaedra. Shireen is just trashy and shaped like a cereal box. You said that, not me. Y'all think Phaedra knew? Chet wanted to get his high booty ass on TV. Ain't nothing wrong with a high booty. I'm just saying. Dr. G should be a pro at playing mental gymnastics with Quad. I really think it's interesting that isn't he like a psychiatrist? And the way he be handling things, not psychiatrist like. I'll just say that. Shireen is not feeling Faye lion ass. I agree. Let's see. Asking a victim of DV to walk on eggshells around their ex is hard. No. Dr. G had to get some verbal abuse in. Sweet Tea was handling it just fine, but he stepped on her toes too. I don't know. Like, again, like I said, the way the marriage ended, these two shouldn't be on the show together in the first place. Like, they both agreed to be on this show. So whatever happened, we just got to move on because clearly they did. Without having the proper counseling with each other to get past whatever happened. So I'm just saying, like, just because, like, of the circumstances that Quad was in, doesn't mean that she's just released of all fault going forward. Like, she still antagonizes situations. Like, yes, I'm glad they're not together anymore. Greg is with someone who actually loves him, so it doesn't involve Quad whatsoever. But, like, I'm just saying, well, we haven't gotten to that part yet with Quad antagonizing, and it's just supposed to be okay. Dr. G not supposed to say anything. So we'll get to that. Quad is not married to medicine. She has to go. I agree, but, you know, the Quad squad ain't going to like that. I wonder who's taller, Chris or Chet. we're probably the same height. He looks like he's tall because look, I'm taller than. You know what? I have a picture with me and Phaedra, and it seems like Chet is the same height as me because, like, I'm real tall over Phaedra. I met her at BravoCon along with Caroline from Dubai, Black Caroline. Anyway, uh, let's see. I don't think there was much beef with them in Quad. If you look at it, there was more beef with Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg, with Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon. I agree with that, but I feel like Quad is the reason why Sweet Tea is at odds with her. Like Sweet Tea should have, Quad should have no beef against Sweet Tea. Well, they were body shaming each other. If you want to be like, honest about it, they were calling each other big backs. So I'm not sure. Tell them that too. Let's see. Not Quad Squad. LOL. Candace, Teresa, Lisa Barlow, and Quad fans are insane. I'm sorry. Well, you said it, not me, but there is a common denominator in those particular fan bases. So let's continue, y'all, because we're already at the 30-minute mark. Cut to Heavenly confessional where she's saying Phaedra trying to make Apollo jealous, and she knew. And I'm just like, regardless, Heavenly, why did you invite them? Because that supersedes anything, because Phaedra was invited on this trip first. You're the one that made it messy. So then Phaedra interrupts them and tells Apollo they aren't married. Why do you care about who I date? Shireen then jumps in and says Apollo don't give a F about you. Shireen refers to Phaedra as Fei, and allegedly Phaedra says, first of all, my name is Phaedra, you bad built bitch. Woo! Now, the reason why I said allegedly is because the editing was choppy here. Because the reactions didn't make sense. And I think y'all saw maybe a clip of Heavenly saying what really happened in that moment. I know Bravo is so mad at her for, having this YouTube and saying behind the scenes stuff, but it looked like their back and forth was like cut out a little bit because allegedly from Heavenly, she says Shireen was reading Phaedra down and saying stuff that she didn't want to repeat. So it is what it is. But yeah, Phaedra looked like she was coming in hot. They were going back and forth until Phaedra is pulled away by Chet. Now, the conversation continues when Sweet Tea then asks Shireen, well, who invited you? And she says, Heavenly. And Sweet Tea is thinking what I'm thinking. Like, the whole reason this is a thing is because y'all are on this trip. Why are y'all on this trip? Y'all don't even know Heavenly like that, for real, for real. And, because of course Heavenly, messy ass wanted this to play out, she says none of your effing business. Don't ask me shit. And now here we go. And Sweet Tea ain't just gonna let Heavenly disrespect her. And she tells her, you shut the F up talking to me, bitch. Heavenly then calls her a bum F boot mouth bitch. Sweet Tea then calls her a razorback big back bitch. Lord, like, what's the first thing Heavenly do? Like, instead of just keeping it between them two, of course she brings up the husband immediately. Like, soon as Sweet Tea like go for the jugular with her, like Sweet Tea has never brought up Damon whatsoever. So the fact that Heavenly keeps bringing up Dr. G means her apologies mean nothing. Nothing. Like, she even called her husband a pedo, basically, on social media. Like, if I was petty, I probably would have sued her ass. But anyway, like, I just think, like, aren't we not tired of, just bringing up the husbands again? It's just the same merry-go-round. They're getting close to going back and forth. They're getting closer to each other, and Heavenly tries to stand up and falls right on her ass in the water. I thought it was funny. Because looks, I'm sorry, I will never be on a bully's side, and I will always be here for Sweet Tea standing up for herself. Like, Dr. Heavenly has an energy for Sweet Tea that she has for no one else on the show. Maybe Toya, but she wouldn't have that energy for anybody else. Like, she really disrespects Sweet Tea in a way that a bully would. I didn't like it. So anytime Sweet Tea stands up for herself, I'm for it. So now the commotion has the husband's attention now. They're trying to break it up as they keep arguing. They are separated as Greg is holding on to Sweet Tea. Cut to her confessional, and she feels Heavenly's messiness needs to be called out. I agree with that. And y'all notice when Toya calls out the messiness, it's cute and funny. But when it's Sweet Tea, it's different. It's different. And then we cut to Simone's confessional, and she's saying Sweet Tea is out of control. I can't. Anyway, y'all already know how I feel about Simone now, just like being fine with this. So now here go King approaching Greg out of nowhere, like to talk to him as he's trying to calm down his wife. So they're off to the side now. King tells him what happened last night. I'm gonna let that shit slide. Like, first of all, I would be like, Ninja, who you talking to? You gonna let it slide? Why are you talking to me like that? Like, you didn't have this energy moving around everybody else. And like, you clearly now want a problem because you had your chance to address the matter. So don't come to me and give me ultimatums. Like, I was just like, who are you? Like, I think the show gave us a misdirect with the previews because it looked like, Greg was going to be the one in his face antagonizing him. And then we see that King came up to Greg a second time trying to start some shit. Because that didn't have to happen. He then tells him, you don't need to speak to her no more. But that's what he was doing in the first place. When the trip started, he did not address Quad whatsoever. He stayed in his lane, and then Quad couldn't help herself because she had to let everybody know that she got to find a man. She doing better right now. She getting sex 15 times a week. And then she telling them, oh, y'all need to have a baby. I'm going to hold the baby shower. And then, yeah, y'all deserve, like, Quad started that. Then says that Quad can say whatever the F she wants to say to him, but Greg should address him. But Quad can just say anything she wants. And I'm just like, again, that's not how that works. So when you literally just talked to Sweet Tea, didn't you? He just talked to Sweet Tea on his own. So why are you not talking to him before you talk to his wife? Like these 1950s ideals where the man has to talk to the man and the woman can't address the man. I don't get that. But anyway, it's starting to look like it's about to go left, and Sweet Tea looks concerned, but Phaedra tells her that Chet isn't going to let anything happen. Wow, we have 216 people in the room. Hello. Smash that like button. So they're going back and forth. Everyone is noticing how it's going left, and Cecil tried to get in between them, but Greg is offended, asking, yo, bro, can I do his voice? Who you talking to? Man, who you talking to? I can't do it unless I'm yelling. Like, be good. Who you talking to? It's hard for me to do it. Anyway. And King is like, I'm talking to you, mother effer. What's up? Okay. So they are being separated, but then Greg says, I figured you would like that because your girl is. King then says, I will F you up. He starts to take his shirt off. He got a nice body. I gotta say. And then charges in Greg's direction, flings the sunglasses off. Quad is running fast as she can to break it up. She's like, no, 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 no. Yeah, that is what you did, Quad. You put the battery in his back. So that's something that happened because of you. And that's why in future episodes, your man can't film with everybody. So now it's chaos. We see Greg, running backwards. And y'all, just to say, like, Greg told him, what I look like fighting you. I'm not going to fight you. So already you knew, like, y'all know that Greg wasn't going to fight him, wasn't going to put a hand on him. So it's King that bum rushed him. So I don't know. Like, I didn't see it as like Greg's just like, oh yeah, motherfucker, yeah. Oh my God, that reminds me of, I posted Cynthia imitating Candy. You need to back up. You need to back up. You getting too close. Yeah. That was one of Cynthia's best moments. You getting too close. Now, why she imitated Candy like that? Anyway, sorry. So yeah, we see Greg running backwards. Then we see Sweet Tea running at full force, like she is Sha'Carri Richardson, like in that direction. And that is where the episode ends. Whew, I knew they were going to end it on that cliffhanger. And they said they didn't, like, no hits were landed. No hits were landed, but definitely the trip exploded. But it was crazy how fast Sweet Tea was running along that sand. It was funny to me. Now, I would say this episode was very entertaining. I still think a lot of it was just so orchestrated and unnecessary. Like, this isn't what Married to Medicine was about. Not about like the fights, like the real fist fights to pop off. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's messy that you have two exes on the show together with their partners. But what makes it a little like not fun shade is because that marriage ended in a dark place, like, well, allegedly. So it's just hard to laugh at that sometimes because, as we can see, it could get, real quickly. Like, I know Greg is an annoying little weasel, but to put this solely on him is a reflection of the bias to Quad, in my opinion, if you think that way. Because this surely could have been avoided. And I'm asking y'all, let me know in the comments, like, is this Married to Medicine's version of pillow talk? Did we get pillow talk from this episode? I can see how people can make that deduction. But yeah, I give this episode a 9.5, not a 10 out of 10. What would y'all give it? The 0.5 deduction is just because of the orchestrated drama. I didn't like it. But still, they gave us an entertaining episode. And look, it was a great 2 hours of television with the reunion and, Married to Medicine back to back. Let me see. This was absolutely Married to Pillow Talk. So let me see some final thoughts what y'all are saying before I get out of here, because y'all know Beverly Hills is on tonight, and y'all know I got a lot to say about my girl Garcelle trying to come for Bose, saying stop being somebody's spokesperson when in actuality you another white woman's spokesperson. Let's just get that straight. Anyway, that made me mad. Stop being Dorit's spokesperson. I didn't like that. Let's see. When Heavenly fell back on her ass, I hollered and she deserved the cussing out. We see each other. I think Heavenly gives Sweet Tea the same energy she gave Mariah. Mariah was Heavenly's equal. Phaedra opened the door to Apollo being invited to stuff when she brought him to the reunion last year. There was absolutely no reason last year. I mean, I can agree with that. But I'm just saying, like, just because the whole X thing was like a big plot point, I don't want to see this again. And especially with people that have nothing to do with the show. Like, we're adding in all these people now. I don't get it. Like, that's why I'm just like, oh, let's just bring Cecil's female friend and let's bring Curtis's mistress next time. Maybe she's married to a doctor. King approaching Greg in the midst of chaos to address an issue is insane. You and your girl lack the ability of discernment. I agree with that. Anyone who thinks Quad and King are not at fault for all of this mess is ridiculous. Quad is doing too much. Quad knows T is struggling with fertility and she was taking a dig at T. It's just like, it's her mouth. She does run her effing mouth a lot. Straight people's rules about gender and who can talk to who about what are confusing. I totally agree with that. Gays, we just talk and fuss with whoever deserves it. I get King saying don't talk to my woman like that, but give demands like he's his father wouldn't go well with anybody. Yeah, it's just like the way he came to him in a calamity moment, like, what? I'm gonna let that shit slide. Who are you talking to? Like, nobody in this chat would, if that's the first thing someone told you, if they had a problem with you, I'm gonna let that shit slide. Like, who are you talking to? What are you gonna do? What were you gonna do if you didn't let it slide, ninja? Like, what? I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor. Anyway, let's see. King's energy and anger seem out of character for what he has shown thus far. I mean, look, we saw that Greg was a different person behind the scenes. So maybe Quad just has that type. Craig was literally cursing her out the night before, and King did nothing to escalate. Well, Greg didn't cuss Quad out. He didn't call her out her name. He just said she got a big effing mouth. I don't think that's cussing somebody out. Let's see. It's not easy running insane. Kudos to Letitia and Quad for hauling ass. Well, yes, but I feel like just how this fight started, like, I don't know. I'm talking about the show going in the direction of orchestrating this drama so explosive shit like that can happen. Like, I don't know. These were at least still two cast members. Sweet Tea would knock my girl Heavenly out. You see how she got away from Phaedra's grip? She took off like that, like she was still in the military. I think Heavenly deserves an ass whooping, honestly. I agree, Chris. Sweet on Watch What Happens Live was not ready. She answered the question of who is the biggest drama king. She said Greg. E was not pleased. Dr. Elmo voiced Greg is professional healthcare provider. Why didn't he grab his sour tea and go home? He's 60 years old. And you bring up a good point. I mean, not about what you said about sour tea, but Greg is 60 years old. This guy coming to him is like, what, 20 years his junior? So, sir, you booting up to somebody that's almost 60? Really? Like, you big and bad. You big and bad. Like, we know you can whip Dr. G's ass, but for what? Bring Dr. Damon mistress. Look, one of these days, Heavenly gonna get her karma. It's gonna come one day. Let's see. I agree, Chris. Sweet Tea was not ready. Dr. G is BC called Dr. G is because called sensitive for bringing it to the men and then threatened when he brings it to Quad. So what do they want him to do? I didn't understand that sentence, but, I tried. Anyway, well, look, at least he was somebody that loved him, and he been wanted a child. So I don't think that's fair, because even when the show started, he wanted a child, but Quad didn't love that man. And it's a good thing she didn't have a kid with this man, because now she could cut all ties with him. Like, she's not stuck to him for the rest of her life. 60 years old is not weak and frail. Well, I'm not saying he's weak and frail, but as somebody, like, that man looked like he was like 37 at the most. So him bucking up to Greg, who's 57 or closer to 60 than he is, I'm just like, ooh, sir, you're big and bad. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna watch Beverly Hills. Thank y'all for participating in the live chat. I love it. We had a big crowd tonight. Always love to see that. Also, for the Patreon viewers, I just added a new video for the next 15 episodes 3 and 4. Check that out. And yeah, with that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all for the next episode.